Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is a pro-revenge story. A couple of years back, my mom Sarah and I had just relocated to a new pet-friendly apartment complex. We had two dogs, Buddy, a Bichon Shih Tzu, and Pepper, a Terrier Poodle mix. With the community dog park right next to our building, we were thrilled about the move, especially because of our furry companions. It's worth mentioning that our entire building was filled with dog owners, each with dogs of varying sizes, from small to massive. Our apartment was situated on the ground floor at the back of the building, tucked away in a cozy corner, providing us with a nice private area. Since Pepper is a terrier, he tends to bark a bit when we're not home. However, when we're around, we have a clicker that he's been trained to respond to, which prompts him to stop barking and come to whoever has the clicker. Due to our work schedules, I was typically home in the mornings, and Mom was home in the afternoons, leaving him alone for a few hours during the day. After a month of moving into our new apartment, we received a note on our door from one of our neighbors. It read, "Dear neighbor, I understand you're new to this complex, but it's inconsiderate to let your dog bark. It's disrupting my sleep before I go to work, and my job is extremely important. I don't care how you do it, but shut your dog up." Mom promptly turned in the note to the leasing office, unsure of how to handle it. That's when the office informed us not to worry because he had done this to every dog owner in the building. They did, however, ask us to try and find ways to keep Pepper calm when we were not home. So we did. We discovered that the neighborhood kids liked playing near the power station outside our apartment, which was the reason for his barking. We closed off that area for him when we went out and no one was home. We also started playing calming music to help soothe him. Another week went by, and this time we heard a knock at the door. We went outside and met our angry neighbor. He explained that our dog had been keeping him awake every day and waking him up with hours of barking. Both of us had been home that day, and our dog had been well behaved without excessive barking. I still remember what he told us when I explained that. "I know what I heard. If you can't control your dog, then I'm going to call animal control and have them both taken from you. I've done it before, and I have no problem getting rid of your dogs too. Then I'll get you kicked out for not following your lease. And I can do that because I'm very rich and the apartment needs my money. So do something to shut your dogs up. Or else." After that, and my mom apologizing for what had happened, we went back inside. A few moments later, I walked out to get the mail, and another neighbor informed me that he had gone to 3 other apartments and made similar threats. After some convincing, Mom told the apartment what had happened. We were told not to worry, and if he did that again, to please contact them. We also found out that the apartment had offered him a unit away from the dogs, but he had declined since the dogs were the problem, not him. However, due to his actions, Mom began to show signs of anxiety and bought a lemon spray bark collar for our dog. While I didn't like this idea, it put her at ease when we were away from our apartment. We made sure to only put it on Pepper when we were both not home. A month went by peacefully, and then, once again, we got a knock on our door. This time, it was animal control. They had received an anonymous report of a dog being abused and neglected in our home. They explained that someone had said our dogs were barking because of neglect. Mom invited the AC lady inside and explained the situation. We showed her everything we could to prevent our dogs from being taken away. The kind lady noticed how playful and happy our dogs were and figured it was another false call. She explained that they had received a few of those from an anonymous concerned neighbor for other apartments in this building. The AC lady left, telling us that if we were threatened again, we should try and get it on record. This event had turned my mom into a paranoid person who became afraid to leave the house, thinking that if she did, she would lose her pups. Normally, I'm the calmest person in my family, never really letting anyone get to me, but this neighbor had done this to hurt us. So I did my research and discovered a few things that could legally help us. With new information on certain laws and leasing terms, I formed a plan. During a weekend when Mom was visiting my aunt in a different state, I began my plan. I started by printing out a few things and then sat outside with my phone and a speaker. I began to play a video of a dog barking really loud. I had figured out which apartment was his thanks to a few neighbors who were also tired of being harassed. I sat there looking across the courtyard to where his apartment was. I waited with a huge smile on my face and, as I hoped, he stormed out and headed over to where I was. I turned off my video and turned on my recorder without him noticing. His face was red with anger as he looked at me sitting there with a smile. "Can I help you?" I asked him. "Duck you! I told you what I would do to your family if you didn't stop your dumbass mutt from ruining my sleep. Now I'm gonna get them taken from you and get you kicked out for not doing as I said. I gave you a chance. I hope when they take your dogs, they are killed, and you and your mom live inside a cardboard box." I gave him a fake, oh dear look and said, So you're saying that I'm not allowed to make loud noises, including my dogs barking between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m., and that I went against the law by doing so? You know you did, he growled. And you're telling me this from my porch at 2 p.m. in the afternoon? This won't be your porch once I tell the leasing office, he threatened. Oh no, that's a very serious threat for my dogs and my family, isn't it? I replied calmly. Duck, yes, it is. I gave him a huge smile and turned off my recorder from my phone. The neighbor looked confused, so I asked him to have a seat as I had a few things to show him. I pulled out my papers and handed him the first one, the county's noise ordinance laws. In our county, a dog's bark was considered the same amount of sound as a loud appliance, so they could bark between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. Before he could talk, I pulled out another paper. This one stated that it was against the leasing terms to threaten another neighbor, and after one warning, the apartment complex had the right to revoke their lease. He looked at me with an understanding of what he had done now. I silenced him and pulled out one last paper. This one was another leasing term I had found. After reading this one, his face turned white. This last one talked about how it was a complete violation of leasing terms to go onto another renter's property and threaten them or their property. This included the renter's outdoor area. Those found guilty of this violation would have their lease revoked immediately and be forced to leave the apartment within a set time. The scared look on his face was priceless as I silently got up and walked back into my apartment. After he finally left, I called the leasing office and explained what had just happened, agreeing to email the recording to them right away. A week later, Mom came home with some news that she had learned from the leasing office. The man had been evicted from his apartment and would be leaving later that week. I found out that my actions had caused the other dog owners in the building to come forward and admit what he had been doing to all of them. After that, there was never another complaint, and I threw away the lemon spray collar. Mom still gets anxiety attacks once in a while, but has been getting help to ease those worries. As for me, I don't regret what I did. I just feel bad that it had to come to this. The next one is an entitled people story. I've lived in my cozy little house on Elm Street for over 15 years now. It's nothing too fancy, just a simple 2-bedroom place with a small yard out back. But it's home, and I've made so many wonderful memories here with my family over the years. About 6 months ago, we got new neighbors that moved into the house next door. At first, I was excited to welcome them to the neighborhood. I even baked a batch of cookies and brought them over on moving day as a little welcome to the block gift. But that friendly gesture would soon come back to bite me. The new neighbors were Ralph and Katie Smith. Katie did most of the talking when I stopped by. She seemed nice enough at first. I introduced myself and mentioned that if they needed anything or had any questions about the neighborhood, my husband and I would be happy to help. "Oh, aren't you just the sweetest?" Katie said, her voice dripping with exaggerated enthusiasm. There was something about her tone that immediately rubbed me the wrong way, but I brushed it off as simply moving day stress. Over the next few weeks, I tried my best to be courteous and make Katie and Ralph feel at home on our street. I'd wave hello if I saw them outside, ask how they were settling in, and even offered to have them over for dinner one night. But Katie always had an excuse for why they couldn't make it. Looking back now, I realize she was just trying to keep up the friendly act while slowly plotting against me. But at the time, I chalked up her flakiness to the hectic schedule of new homeowners. Oh, how wrong I was. The first sign of trouble came about 2 months after Katie and Ralph moved in. I arrived home one day to find a moving truck parked in their driveway. Strange, I thought. They had just finished moving in not too long ago. As I got out of my car, Katie came marching over with a smug look on her face. "Hello, neighbor," she said in a sing-song voice. "We're just moving the last few things over from our old place today." I smiled politely. "Oh, okay. I thought you had already finished your move. Did you leave some stuff in storage or something?" Katie let out an obviously fake laugh. "Oh no, we're moving into our new home, this one right here." She gestured grandly at my house. I froze, not sure if I had heard her correctly. "I'm sorry, what? This is my home?" No, I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding," Katie said slowly, as if speaking to a child. "We bought this lovely house 3 months ago. I know there was an old tenant living here briefly during the transition, but your lease has ended now. You really should have been out weeks ago." My head was spinning in utter confusion. What on earth was this lunatic woman talking about? I tried to keep my cool as I firmly stated, "Katie, I'm not renting. My husband and I have owned this house for over 15 years. We definitely did not sell it to you." Katie's fake smile vanished instantly, replaced by a look of indignation. "That's Miss Smith to you," she snapped. "And I don't appreciate these childish lies. Ralph," she called out loudly, "can you please show this woman our deed and title to our house?" Ralph scrambled over with a stack of papers in hand. I caught a glimpse of my address printed at the top, but the names listed as owners were Ralph and Katie Smith. "I don't know how you got those documents, but they're fraudulent," I said as calmly as I could. "This is my house. If you don't believe me, I'm happy to show you my deed, property taxes, mortgage statements." "That won't be necessary," Katie hissed. "The only paperwork that matters is right here. Now I suggest you vacate the premises immediately before I call the police and have you removed for trespassing." My heart was pounding with anger and disbelief. This woman had some serious nerve to waltz over here and try to claim my house as her own. I refused to back down. Through gritted teeth, I told Katie, "If you try to seize my property, I will sue you for everything you're worth." With that, I stormed back into my house before I really lost my temper. I immediately called my husband at work to tell him what happened. He was just as shocked and outraged as I was. That evening, we sat down and compiled every piece of documentation confirming our ownership of the house, from closing documents to 15 years of utility bills and property tax records. The next day, we contacted our lawyer and explained the attempted fraudulent takeover of our home. He reviewed our evidence and agreed to send Katie and Ralph a cease and desist letter on our behalf, threatening legal action if they continued to make claims on our property. Unfortunately, that didn't stop them. A few days later, I returned home from work to find Katie sitting smugly on my front porch. "You're going to be removed from this house one way or another," she declared. "The police will drag you away in handcuffs if they have to." That was the last straw. I snapped a picture of her trespassing on my porch and immediately called the police myself. Within minutes, an officer arrived and I showed him all the proof that I rightfully owned the house. "This is clearly a civil matter that needs to be handled in court," the officer told Katie. He made her stand up from my porch and escorted her back to her own property next door. As Katie argued with the officer, I noticed a moving truck approaching. My heart sank, thinking she somehow found a way to empty my home. But to my surprise, the movers walked right past my house and began unloading furniture next door, at Katie's house. She was already moving out less than a month after moving in. I later learned from another neighbor that Katie had tried pulling this house-stealing scam in their old neighborhood. She would claim vacant or recently sold homes as her own and intimidate the rightful owners into handing over the property. Unfortunately for her, she didn't expect me to fight back and threaten legal action. In the end, Katie and Ralph were forced to pay dearly for their stunt. My lawyer filed a lawsuit against them for attempted fraud and criminal trespassing. We provided clear evidence they willfully and knowingly tried to seize my property. The judge ruled fully in my favor and ordered Katie and Ralph to pay a large settlement for my troubles. On top of that, they were evicted and banned from our neighborhood by the HOA. I'm just glad I stood my ground against that entitled bully. Katie thought she could waltz in and take what she wanted with no consequences. But thanks to my stubbornness and some brilliant legal work, I got the best revenge by kicking her out and hitting her where it really hurt. Her wallet. This mama bear will do anything to protect her home and keep con artists like Katie from ever setting foot on my property again. The next one is a petty revenge story. I live at 123 North Main Street. A few houses down, my neighbor lives at 123 South Main Street. We often get each other's packages, and after this happening several times, I left my phone number with the homeowner on a note so we can get it touched quicker when it happens. 4 years pass of us notifying each other of wayward packages. In the last year or so, the other house got what looks to be some kind of tattooing equipment, and I text her to let it know it's been misdelivered to my home. No response. I text again. No response. I drive it to her house and drop it off. A couple of months goes by and I get a handwritten note on my porch telling me that I should be nicer to people instead of telling them to get off my property, and her address written as the sender on the bottom. Apparently she is moving and listed the house for rent. In any case, I realized for the first time that a few months earlier, I had someone walking on my personal walkway that goes around my house and parallels the street. The personal walkway is about 3 from my huge glass windows in my living room, so when someone does that, it's creepy weird. I could literally reach out and touch a stranger on my property if the glass of the very large windows wasn't there. Secondly, my home is elevated above street level, about 3 oz. So if someone is walking in the street, we don't have sidewalks, they are several feet below my house level, and of course closer to 8, 10 away horizontally, as there is a small strip of land between the street and my house. In any case, I had this woman walking on my personal sidewalk on my personal property. It requires them walking all the way up my driveway to even get to it, about a foot from my windows, which I found creepy. I walk outside and explained it's private property. It's my home. On single-family home lots, of course it's private. And she kept saying, "Oh, what do you mean?" and acting all cutesy about it. I'm a woman, so this crap did not fly with me. In any case, I asked her not to walk on my property. But apparently, this was the same woman who had the address close to mine. In any case, sure enough, after getting her handwritten note telling me to be nicer to people who walk on my property, within a couple of weeks another package gets misdelivered. I am now the proud owner of some beauty supplies. Thanks. The next one is a malicious compliance story. There are 2 stories that I will be posting separately since I wrote them much longer than I thought I would have. During the holidays, I work as an assistant manager at what is essentially a retail photo op booth, Pictures with a Mall Santa. The company normally wants us to only take a maximum of 3 pictures per group. The problem with this for us is that the pictures are purchased in expensive packages, ranging from $40 to $50 for 3 different options, with each add-on picture being $10, meaning that getting the smallest package and a single add-on would cost the same as the largest package, but with less items. The most expensive package includes several printouts, big and small, of 2 poses separated evenly between them and a digital file that has access to each click of the camera. The middle package only gave you the small printouts and the digital file, and the cheapest package only gave you the small photos. When we aren't busy, we like to take our time with each family to make sure we get the most out of the pictures and give them a good experience. The system lets us take up to 15 pictures before some pics have a chance of being accidentally deleted off the system, so we try to get as close as we can. So if you got a package with a digital file, you would have a lot of extra pictures that were printed out. One morning, me and another assistant manager were the only ones on set for the first hour. Let's call her Jessie. I love her. We all did. She was a super nice woman who sometimes gave too much good treatment to nice customers, even going as far to outright break rules. She was also very petty to rude customers. We were on maybe our 5th customer of the slow morning. It's early in the season, and no one comes in early December to get their Santa photos when one lady, let's call her Karen, with her like 5 kids, starts getting really impatient. She wasn't in line for more than maybe 10 minutes, and when we get busy, most people would be in line for anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours. Jessie goes over to talk to her while I'm taking pictures of the family I have with me, but I was listening to their conversation. I'm paraphrasing, but it goes something like this. Jessie: "Hi ma'am, can I help you? What seems to be the problem?" Karen: "Do you have to take so much time with all of them?" Jessie: "We are trying to give every child their time with Santa Claus. The experience is the best part." Karen interrupting: "We've been waiting here for over an hour. Just take one damn picture and send them away." Jessie: "Ma'am." Karen interrupting again: "I don't care, hurry this crap up. Just 1 picture per family, that's how it should be." I could hear Jessie's eye twitch as I finished up with the current family. Jessie: "You are right, ma'am, we should be doing 1 photo per family." Right on cue, I waved at her to tell her I was ready for the next family. She asked me to finish ringing up the previous family while she took care of Karen. Per Karen's request, Jessie situated everyone perfectly and set up the camera. She took a single click of the camera, didn't even check if it was a good picture, and told Karen they were all done. She ushered them to the cash register and made sure she didn't let any of the kids stay behind to talk to Santa Claus. The kids thankfully didn't seem to mind too much, as I would have felt bad for punishing kids for their parents' behavior. The kicker is that with that 1 picture, Karen begrudgingly still bought the most expensive package, which includes the digital file that normally would have had access to every photo, but now only has that 1 lone picture. The next one is an entitled People story. I have been tattooing professionally for close to 2 years, and this is my first time dealing with this particular situation. While I fully understand why individuals are reluctant to have a newer artist working on them, I have also seen experienced artists mess up and/or screw people over. I had a young man and his father come into the shop recently. This was my 2nd time speaking with them. The adult-age son wanted a relatively easy piece on his forearm, consisted of only lettering, a little line work, and some generic cloud shading. They did not ask for a specific artist, and they put a deposit down with me for an appointment initially set for today. The young man's mother contacted me yesterday, explained that they had an event coming up, and she did not want tattoo plastic wrap present in the event photos, and wished to reschedule. Weird excuse, but not a problem. I attempted to reschedule him twice before speaking with the mother again today. The mother began with, "It says right on the appointment card that these deposits are non-refundable, but I just thought I'd ask." She then went on to state that individuals online said go in and ask for the owner, so her husband and son were supposed to ask for the owner, but whoever just threw you up there. The owner was not even there either time they came in, and the owner was not mentioned. She kept stating that she was aware I was new and wanted someone more experienced, like the owner doing her adult-age son's first piece since it was bigger. Again, it was a simple piece. At one point, she even asked, "Are you still an apprentice or what?" When I informed her that I had been taking on my own clients for well over a year now, she only said, "Yeah, see, I'd like someone with more experience to do it." I offered to transfer the deposit over to a more experienced artist, the exact one she was asking for, and she stated that she'd just like the deposit back. She stated a second time that she was aware that the deposit was non-refundable, but that she just thought she'd ask. I told her at this point that the owner retains half of the deposit, so I'd have to discuss the potential return with him, and she asked in a rather rude tone, "Okay, should I expect to hear back from you tonight then, or should I be contacting him myself?" TLDR, this woman canceled her adult son's tattoo appointment, insulted my experience and ability to do a fairly simple piece, and expects to receive the non-refundable deposit back. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.